it's not until we look into the mirror of another human being that we get to really see the beauty within ourselves. And we tend not to be able to conceive of our own beauty when we're in isolation. And so this disconnected state that we've all been encouraged to maximize in these last 2 years of social isolation and et cetera, in the very fear of one another, we have driven ourselves away from the mirror to look at ourselves critically. And you see a lot of psychotic behavior, emerge from that isolation, and a lot of completely illogical things, that as a scientific community, we got used to and accepted and didn't stand up and scream bloody murder over the fact that we thought it was acceptable for people to go sit down at a restaurant and take off their mask and then have to put the mask back on when they stood back up. Like, it's so impossibly illogical that viruses float, only above 6 feet of altitude or something like this. Like, we did these things that were so fundamentally ridiculous, and yet we excuse them for what reasons we don't even know. And so when we see this level of behavior, then we can be pretty convinced, we have a lot of evidence at that point that some part of our psyche has become so isolated from reality that we're capable of psychotic behavior. And that's so interesting, because I can do that in a million versions of my day. I can be psychotic in the way in which I act towards myself, looking at myself in the mirror in the morning. I can be psychotic in the way that I react to some social group, or some work group or employee or whatever it is. Like, I can be so irrational, and I can justify it, or not even be in such denial of the behavior that I don't even feel the need to explain it or justify it. And so we are a fundamentally disconnected species. Therefore, we look like we are manifesting or expressing the current version of humanity. That version of humanity is going extinct, period. There is no saving that version of humanity. My excitement is we could transformationally shift the biology and the belief systems, the neurologic behaviors and programming that are connected to those energy fields that are infinite. And so that's, I think, the journey that I get most excited about, is that when we talk about regeneration, my nonprofit Farmers Footprint just launched in Australia as well, Farmers Footprint Australia. That organization is having so much impact because it's not trying to tell anybody what to do. It's instead creating community around this regenerative movement. And in that, we are seeing so much radical change in behavior, change in beliefs, change in productivity, change in joy, at the fabric level of the farming industry and at the consumer industry, of being connected back to a food system that turns you from consumer into producer. Even if it's you knowing and supporting a CSA, you're now a producer of something positive for biology and planet, as well as your own health. And so this feedback loop that happens when we go into community around these practices is really extremely powerful. And I get very excited that we are seeing the extinction of the old humanity, of the disconnected humanity, and very excited that we're going to birth a new version of humanity here in these next few years. And I think it's already afoot. I think it's already happening. The fact that we have to have a technical, scientifically acceptable term called spontaneous remission is pretty cool, because it was too awkward to keep writing miracle in the chart when we saw case after case of autoimmune diseases spontaneously going away, or cancer disappearing from bodies without a single trace of scar tissue or anything else. Like, what's happening there? Spontaneous remission is the scientific description or scientific lexicon of miracle. And like Einstein said, either we come to terms with the fact that everything's a miracle, or we have to come to terms with the fact that nothing's a miracle. And so if you are willing to be witness to the world around you as a practitioner, you are definitely going to witness somebody heal at some point. And that healing is not contingent upon the drugs you give or the thing. It's going to be an inexplicable event that defies our understanding of biology and kind of the physiology of healing. Instead, these spontaneous remissions happen instantly and at a level that defies our current understanding of some sort of Newtonian biology of mechanisms.